Ah, yes, dear students, we have completed the mechanism of aerobic respiration. Three phases we have completed. One is the glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and terminal oxidation. Now we'll go for the mechanism of anaerobic respiration. Let us come to the mechanism of mechanism of anaerobic respiration. Mechanism of anaerobic respiration. Mechanism of anaerobic respiration. As we discussed earlier, respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. E is called anaerobic respiration. E is called anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is an intracellular process. Anaerobic respiration is an intracellular process. You remember this. Respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. It is an intracellular process, takes place within the cells. Here, glucose is incompletely oxidized into carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol with the release of less amount of energy. Got it? No? Glucose is incompletely or partially oxidized into ethyl alcohol or carbon dioxide with the liberation of less amount of energy. That is 2 ATP molecules or 56 kilocalories of energy. Anaerobic respiration is also called as fermentation. Anaerobic respiration is also called as the fermentation. Is also called as the fermentation. You remember this. Fermentation is an extracellular process. Takes place outside the cells. Fermentation is an extracellular process. Takes place outside the cells. Fermentation is extracellular process takes place outside the cells. Outside the cells. Based on the type of end product produced. Based on the type of end product produced. Fermentation is of two types. They are alcoholic fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, and lactic acid fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. These are the two types. Based on the type of end product produced, fermentation is of two types. Alcoholic fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. Okay, first let us come to the alcoholic fermentation. Let us come to the alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation. It takes place with the help of microorganisms like bacteria and yeasts. It takes place with the help of microorganisms like bacteria and yeasts. You remember this. Takes place with the help of microorganisms like bacteria and yeasts. Usually, entire fermentation takes place with the help of bacteria and yeast only, but alcoholic fermentation takes place with the help of yeast only. With the help of the yeast, alcoholic fermentation. Entire fermentation takes place with the help of microorganisms like bacteria and yeast. But alcoholic fermentation takes place with the help of enzymes of yeasts. Generally, yeast have two enzymes. One is the invertase, another one is the zymase. This enzyme only going to convert glucose into ethyl alcohol. This enzyme is only going to convert the glucose into ethyl alcohol. You remember this. These are the two enzymes present inside the yeast. Invertase and zymase. Following that. Alcoholic fermentation takes place with the help of the enzymes of the yeast. Zymase and invertase. Zymase is capable of converting glucose into ethyl alcohol or ethanol. Now, alcoholic fermentation takes place under the following steps. Under the following steps, alcoholic fermentation takes place under the following steps. One is the glycolysis. During this process, during this process, one molecule of glucose oxidized into two molecules of pyruvic acid, two molecules of pyruvic acid, two molecules of NADH2, and two molecules of ATP. So this is the first step as in case of alcoholic fermentation. During glycolysis, one molecule of glucose is oxidized into two molecules of pyruvic acid, two molecules of NADH2 and two molecules of ATP. Then second step is the decarboxylation. Second step is the decarboxylation. Second step is the decarboxylation. Here, two molecules of pyruvic acid undergoes decarboxylation now and form two molecules of acetaldehyde, two molecules of acetaldehyde and two molecules of carbon dioxide. So this is the second step, decarboxylation. Pyruvic acid is undergoes decarboxylation to form two molecules of acetaldehyde and two molecules of carbon dioxide. Then the last step is the reduction. Last step is the reduction. Here, two molecules of acetaldehyde now reduced by utilizing NaDH2, reduced to two molecules of ethyl alcohol, reduced to two molecules of ethyl alcohol in the presence of ethanol dehydrogenase enzyme, in the presence of ethanol dehydrogenase enzyme. Clear? This is called reduction. Two molecules of acetaldehyde reduced to two molecules of ethyl alcohol by utilizing NaDH2 in the presence of ethanol dehydrogenase enzyme. So the overall equation of anaerobic respiration is that, okay, glucose is partially or incompletely oxidized into two molecules of ethyl alcohol, two molecules of carbon dioxide, plus two molecules of ATP. This is the overall equation of the alcoholic fermentation. You remember this. So this is the alcoholic fermentation. You remember this. I'll repeat once again. Alcoholic fermentation takes place with the help of the enzymes of the yeast, zymase and invertase. It can be studied under the following three steps. Glycolysis. Here, glucose is oxidized into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Got it now? Then decarboxylation. Here the two molecules of pyruvic acid undergoes decarboxylation to form two molecules of acetaldehyde. Then reduction. Here the two molecules of acetaldehyde reduce into two molecules of ethyl alcohol by utilizing NaDH2 in the presence of ethanol dehydrogenase enzyme. I think you are getting me. So this is the overall equation of alcoholic fermentation. You remember this. You can write C6H12O6 that gives rise to two molecules of C2H5OH, two CO2 plus two ATP molecules. Okay, you can write no problem. C6H12O6. Okay. Now let us come to the lactic acid fermentation. Let us come to the lactic acid fermentation. Lactic acid fermentation. It takes place with the help of lactic acid bacteria. Lactic acid bacteria. That is also called as the lab anta kareeತೀವಿ. Lab is nothing but lactic acid bacteria. That is lactobacilli. Lactobacilli. You remember this. Lactic acid fermentation takes place with the help of lactic acid bacteria. That is the lactobacilli. Clear? I think you're getting it. So just simple example I'll give. Process of conversion of milk into curd is called lactic acid fermentation. Process of conversion of milk into curd is called lactic acid fermentation. Clear? ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಅಮ್ಮ ನೈಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಾಲು ಕಾಯಿಸಿದ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೆಪ್ಪು ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕರ್ಡ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ that substances now three chemical reactions has to takes place. After completion of the three chemical reactions, that milk is converted into curd due to the influence of the lactobacilli or lactic acid bacteria. Clear now? One more point. In order to convert the milk into curd now, these bacteria also need suitable temperature. Without temperature, these are also not able to convert the milk into curd actually. ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ರೈನಿ ಸೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವಿಂಟರ್ ಸೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನೈಟ್ ಏನು ಹಾಲು ಕಾಯಿಸಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಡ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕರ್ಡ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಸಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಆಪ್ಟಿಮಮ್ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. After getting the suitable temperature only, they are capable of converting milk into curd. Clear? Yes. So like alcoholic fermentation now, lactic acid fermentation can also be studied under the following steps. They are. One is the hydrolysis. This is the first step actually. Hydrolysis. Can you give the milk sugar present in the milk? Can you name the milk sugar present in milk? It is also a disaccharide because it is made up of two monosaccharide units only. That is why it is commonly called disaccharide. If anybody would like to give the answer. So lactose only. So this is the disaccharide present in milk only. So first during hydrolysis now, here the lactose undergoes hydrolysis. And gives rise to two molecules of monosaccharides like glucose and galactose. This is the first step in the lactic acid fermentation. Lactose undergoes hydrolysis and gives rise to two molecules of monosaccharides like glucose and galactose. Next, second step is the glycolysis. Like here alcoholic fermentation. Here also the glucose is oxidized into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Only. Then the third step is the reduction. Here the two molecules of pyruvic acid now reduced to two molecules of lactic acid. Without liberation of the carbon dioxide. In the presence of lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. One point you should remember. During lactic acid fermentation, carbon dioxide is not evolved. But alcoholic fermentation, carbon dioxide is evolved. You remember this here. Carbon dioxide is evolved. But during this lactic acid fermentation, carbon dioxide is not evolved. Only lactic acid is produced. That is from the pyruvic acid molecules. So these are the three steps involved in lactic acid fermentation. One is the hydrolysis. Here, lactose undergoes hydrolysis and gives rise to two molecules of monosaccharides, glucose and galactose. Glycolysis. One molecule of glucose is oxidized into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Correct? Then reduction. Two molecules of pyruvic acid reduced to lactic acid in the presence of lactate dehydrogenase enzyme without liberation of the carbon dioxide. You remember this. So these are the steps involved in lactic acid fermentation. So this is the mechanism of the anaerobic respiration. Okay. Now let us come to the external factors affecting the rate of respiration. Let us come to the external factors affecting the rate of respiration. One by one we are going to discuss here. Number one is the temperature. External factors affecting the rate of respiration. One is the temperature. As we discussed in photosynthesis now, here also temperature has three cardinal points. Minimum temperature, optimum temperature, maximum temperature. Minimum is 0 to 30 degrees Celsius. Optimum is 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, degrees Celsius. Then maximum you can take above 45 degrees Celsius. Clear? So minimum temperature, since at this temperature respiratory enzymes are less active now, most of the green plants can show the less rate of respiration. Clear? That you should remember here. Then Okay, under optimum temperature, since the respiratory enzymes are hyperactive, respiratory enzymes are hyperactive. That is why at this temperature, most of the green plants can show the maximum rate of respiration. Got it? Know what I'm telling you? Maximum rate of respiration. Suppose if the temperature goes behind the 45 degrees Celsius now, suppose if the temperature goes behind the 45 degrees Celsius now, all the respiratory enzymes are destroyed. All the respiratory enzymes are destroyed. At this condition, plants cannot able to shoot up respiration. Got it? As we discussed in photosynthesis now, that is called thermal denaturation of enzymes. Here students, one important point you should keep for the competitive exam. So this is the very important in the temperature. Okay, listen. That is called Van Tuff's law. That is called Van Tuff's law. You have to remember this. Okay, under the temperature, you have to keep this point is very, very, very important. This law states that the rate of respiration increases 2 to 3 times. For every rate of respiration increases 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 times. For every rise of 10 degrees Celsius from 0 to 35 degrees Celsius. This is very simple statement. Van Der's law states that the rate of respiration increases 2 to 3 times. 2 to 3 times. For every rise of 10 degrees Celsius from 0 to 35 degrees Celsius. From 0 to 35 degrees Celsius. E is called Van Der's law. Yes, this is only the important. I'll repeat once again. The rate of respiration increases 2 to 3 times. For every rise of 10 degrees Celsius from 0 to 35 degrees Celsius, E is called the Van Der's law. This is the first external factor. Next, the second one is the concentration of carbon dioxide. Concentration of carbon dioxide. Our atmosphere contains 0.03 percentage of the carbon dioxide. Suppose if it increases up to 1%, then it is okay. If it goes behind that, no, the respiration is not able to okay, happening in the green plants. So finally, we can come to the conclusion like an increase in concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere decreases the rate of respiration in plants. Correct? I think you're getting it. An increase in concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere decreases the rate of respiration in green plants. That we should keep in our mind. As we discussed in the last class under the photosynthesis, very high concentration of carbon dioxide becomes a toxic and inhibit the processes. I think it is very clear for you. Yes, next. Third one is the concentration of oxygen. Concentration of oxygen. This is one of the most essential factor for the aerobic organisms. It may be plants or animals. You remember this. Concentration of oxygen. As I said, this is the most essential factor, external factor for all aerobic organisms. Clear? You know that presence of oxygen, Krebs cycle now, as we discussed in the morning, it takes place only in the presence of oxygen. That is why Krebs cycle is the purely aerobic phase of the respiration. It is purely aerobic phase of the respiration because without oxygen, Krebs cycle is not happening in green plants. This is the one. Next one. In the absence of oxygen, in the absence of oxygen now, glycolysis takes place. In the absence of oxygen, glycolysis takes place because glycolysis doesn't require oxygen for its function. That is why, as we discussed in the morning, common for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Clear? High concentration of oxygen. At high concentration of oxygen, aerobic respiration takes place. Aerobic respiration takes place. Low concentration of oxygen. At low concentration of oxygen, both aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place. Both aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place. You remember this. At very high concentration of oxygen, only aerobic respiration takes place. Low concentration of oxygen, both aerobic and anaerobic respiration takes place. So finally, here when we can come to the conclusion, an increase in concentration of oxygen now also increases the rate of respiration in green plants. We can say here concentration of oxygen is directly proportional to the rate of respiration ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಏಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆಸ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಏರೋಬಿಕ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ CO2 ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಕೂಡ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So this is the third factor. Clear? Next, fourth one is the sunlight. Fourth one is the sunlight. Okay, most of the students are going to think, hey, what is the relation between the sunlight and respiration? Again, most of the plants photosynthesis takes place during daytime. Respiration takes place in the night. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಸನ್ಲೈಟ್ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೌಟ್ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ ಡಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಯು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ದ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ respiration. That I am going to explain how indirectly sunlight influences the rate of respiration. Before going to that, can you able to remember that which cell organelle present in the guard cells of the stomata? Anybody? That details we have discussed in photosynthesis, even mechanism of stomatal transpiration. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾವ ಸೆಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನಲ್ಲು ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್ chloroplast only. You know that chloroplast is the kitchen of the plant cell or photosynthetic apparatus of the cell. Okay, dear students, now let us come to how sunlight influences the rate of respiration. I am going to explain. When the intensity of light is very high now, stomata opens. Then the carbon dioxide diffuses into the stomata. Clear? By utilizing this CO2, the chloroplast in the guard cell synthesize the carbohydrates, nothing but glucose. That glucose becomes respiratory substrate for the respiration. That glucose becomes a respiratory substrate for the respiration. Like that, it indirectly influences the rate of respiration in the green plants. I think you are following here. Artha agtidiyalva? I'll repeat once again. Sunlight indirectly influences the rate of respiration in plants. Rate of respiration in plants. Yes. Dear students, here the sunlight is indirectly influence the rate of respiration. How no? When the intensity of light is very high, stomata opens, that CO2 diffuses into the stomata. So as we discussed, chloroplast is present in the cytoplasm of the guard cell. This chloroplast, by utilizing the carbon dioxide now, synthesize the glucose by photosynthesis. That glucose becomes respiratory substrate for the respiration. So like that, sunlight influences the rate of respiration in the green plants. Clear? Next, last external factor is the water. Last external factor is the water. Okay. Here, water is essential for the activation of the respiratory enzymes. You know that since morning we are discussing actually glycolysis, Krebs cycle. All these are the enzymatic reactions only. In glycolysis, 10 steps we have discussed. Krebs cycle also 10 steps we have discussed. All are enzymatic. All are enzymatic. For the activation of the enzyme, sufficient amount of water is also required. You remember this, students. Hence, proper supply of water to the plants increase the rate of respiration. As they said, water is required for the activation of the respiratory enzymes. That is why proper supply of water to the plants increase the rate of respiration. Very poor supply of water to the plants decreases the rate of respiration. Very poor supply of water to the plants decrease the rate of respiration. So these are the five external factors influences the rate of respiration in green plants. One is the temperature. Students, here you should remember Van Tup's law. Second one is the concentration of CO2, concentration of oxygen, then sunlight and water. Clear up. So these are the external factors. So next we'll go for the respiratory quotient, nothing but RQ. Yes. Dear students, now let us go to the respiratory quotient, RQ. Here, in the examination from this setting, you can expect the RQ value of different kinds of substances. RQ value of the different kinds of substances they are going to ask in the examination. Generally, this type of questions you can expect in the match the followings. In one column, they used to give the substances. Another column, they used to give the respiratory quotient values. Here, by giving three examples, how to find out the respiratory quotient value of the different types of substances, I am going to explain. But in the examination, they won't ask you find out and the directly will be given the values only. So according to the substances, you have to remember the values. But for your understanding, I am going to explain three examples how to find out the respiratory quotient value. Okay, before going to the respiratory quotient value of the different kinds of substances, let us come to the definition of the REQ. It is the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated to the volume of oxygen okay. It is the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated to the volume of oxygen consumed during respiration at the standard temperature and pressure in a given period of time. E is called respiratory coefficient. I'll repeat once again. Ratio of volume of carbon dioxide liberated to the volume of oxygen consumed during respiration at standard temperature and pressure at a given period of time. At a given period of time, E is called respiratory quotient value. So you can write like this also. RQ is equal to volume of carbon dioxide liberated. Volume of carbon dioxide liberated to the volume of oxygen consumed. Volume of oxygen consumed. So, by this also you can remember the definition of the respiratory quotient value. Here itself you can find the definition. See here, REQ is equal to volume of carbon dioxide liberated to the volume of oxygen consumed. As I said, during respiration, at standard temperature and pressure, at a given period of time. E is called REQ. Got it? I think definition is clear for you. Okay, now let us come to the respiratory quotient value of the different types of chemicals. First, let us come to the RQ value of the carbohydrates. First one, let us come to the RQ value of carbohydrates. RQ value of carbohydrates. Dear students, here you have to remember they can ask directly carbohydrates. Find the RQ value of carbohydrates directly. They can ask, or instead of asking the carbohydrates, no, they can ask write the RQ value of potato. Write the RQ value of rice. Write the RQ value of glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose, maltose, lactose, glycogen, starch, cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin, lignin, suberin, etc. Got it now? They can ask like that also, but you have the capacity to decide whether the given substances are carbohydrates, or proteins, or organic acids, or lipids, that you should keep in our mind. If you have that capacity, without second thought, you can select the correct answer. Clear? ನೋಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಕಾರ್ಬೋಹೈಡ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಕೇಳ್ಬಹುದು. Okay, let it be. First, I'll show how to find out the RQ value of the carbohydrates. First, just we can remember the overall equation of the aerobic respiration, which is that C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives rise to 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 686 kilocalories of energy. So this is the overall equation of aerobic respiration. Here the substrate is the glucose only. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಬ್ಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ RQ? RQ is equal to volume of CO2 liberated. See here, RQ is equal to volume of CO2 liberated. How many liberated here? 6 CO2 are liberated. How many oxygen consumed? 6 oxygen consumed. So what is the RQ value of carbs? 1, also called as unity. 1 also called as unity. This is the way to find out the RQ value of the carbs. No need to write how to find out. They won't ask actually. Directly they used to ask the value only. That they should remember. Any carbs, dear students, any carbs RQ value will be 1 or unity. This is the one example. Second one. Let us come to the RQ value. RQ value of anaerobic respiration. RQ value of anaerobic respiration. RQ value of anaerobic respiration. Okay, what is the overall equation of anaerobic respiration? C6H12O6 okay, gives rise to 2 molecules of ethyl alcohol plus 2 CO2 plus 2 ATP. This is the overall equation of anaerobic respiration. Clear? What is RQ here? Volume of carbon dioxide liberated. How many liberated here? 2. Then volume of oxygen consumed. How many is 0? So what is the value of anaerobic respiration? Infinity. So infinity is the RQ value of the anaerobic respiration. So this is the way to find out the RQ value. Correct what I am telling you. So aerobic respiration, that nothing but carbs is the 1 or unity. Anaerobic respiration is the infinity. Like that, RQ value of proteins and fats. RQ value of proteins and fats. RQ value of the proteins and fats. RQ value of the proteins and fats. Less than 1. Or you can say 0.7. Even you can take 0.4 also. Always less than 1. You remember this. This is the protein and fats. Then here also same. ಅವನು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. Instead of asking the proteins, he can ask the egg albumin, white part of the egg, proteins only, or any pulses he can ask. They are the proteinaceous rich substances only. So pulses ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೂ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಒಂದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. egg albumin ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸೇಮ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಅವನು ಫ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಂತೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ಸ್, or instead of oils you can add castor, groundnut, coconut, got it what I am telling you, butter, ghee, palm oil, sunflower oil, like that also they can ask. So value will be always less than 1, that is 0.7. 0.7. Clear? Next one. RQ value of organic acids, RQ value of organic acids, RQ value of organic acids is always greater than 1, always greater than 1, that is 1.33, 1.33, greater than 1 or 1.33, even you can take the, okay, 4 or 8 also you can take. All we should remember greater than 1 only. If it is greater than 1 is there no, you can decide organic acids. Illo aste ಅವನು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಂತೇನಿಲ್ಲ. What we have discussed in the Krebs cycle, any acid you can ask. Pyruvic acid, citric acid, aconitic acid, isocitric acid, oxalosuccinic acid, oxaloacetic acid. Any acids you can ask. Value is always greater than 1 or 1.33 you can. Got it what I am telling you. So like that, then RQ value of xerophytic plants. RQ value of xerophytes. You can take the example Opuntia, then also you can take Bryophyllum. Bryophyllum. Here RQ is always 0. RQ is always 0 in xerophytic plants. Because here the carbon dioxide is not liberated actually. Because in these plants tomato remains closed during daytime to check the transpiration open at night. Organic acids oxidation ಅದಕ್ಕೆ liberate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ carbon dioxide, but they only utilize the liberated carbon dioxide. But at the end of this process, CO2 is not liberated. That is why here RQ value is 0. I think you are getting it. So you have to remember like this. So respiratory quotient value of the carbs is 1 or unity. Anaerobic respiration is infinity. Fats or oils is less than 1. Organic acids so more than 1. Xerophytic plants is always 0. Xerophytic plants is always 0. I think it is very clear for you. So this much you should remember here. As I said this, you can expect in the natural phalanx as in case of NEET examination. Clear? I think you are getting it. So, what is the RQ value of carbs? 1 or unity. Anaerobic respiration infinity. Proteins and fats less than 1. Organic acids more than 1. Xerophytic plants of 0. I think you are getting it. Next, let us come to that. What are the experiments on respiration? Experiments on respiration. Experiments on respiration. Experiments on respiration. Just here, you remember name of the experiment and its aim you should remember. Only for the competence. One is the thermos flask experiment. One is the thermos flask experiment. Thermos flask experiment. Its aim is heat is liberated during respiration. Heat is liberated during respiration. Heat is liberated during respiration. You remember this. Heat is liberated during respiration. What syllabus it was there? That is why I am not giving the details actually. Just the name of the experiment and the aim you should remember. So this experiment is telling that during respiration most of the organisms heat is liberated. Got it? What I am telling you. This is very simple experiment. Earlier what we were doing under this experiment now, we were taking two thermos flasks actually. In one thermos flask we were taking the dry seeds. Another one is germinating seeds. ಎರಡು ಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಎರಡು thermos flasks ಅಲ್ಲಿ thermometers ಅನ್ನು ಡಿಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ their mouth is closed with a cotton plug ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೈಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ನೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯೂ ಅವರ್ಸ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ದ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಇನ್ ದ thermos flask containing germinating seeds ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಡ್ರೈ ಸೀಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. That indicates that germinating seeds there is a respiration, dry seeds there is no respiration. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು germinating seeds ಅಲ್ಲಿ heat liberate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. leave it. Just you remember name of the experiment and name that's all. Next one is the Kuhne's fermentation vessel experiment. Kuhne's fermentation vessel experiment. Kuhn's fermentation vessel experiment. Kuhn's fermentation vessel experiment. Its aim is to demonstrate alcoholic fermentation. To demonstrate alcoholic fermentation. To demonstrate the alcoholic fermentation with the help of the yeast. Then last one is the Ganning's respiroscope experiment. Ganning's respiroscope experiment. Ganning's respiroscope experiment. Its aim is carbon dioxide is liberated. Carbon dioxide is liberated during aerobic respiration. During aerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide is liberated during aerobic respiration. You remember this. So these are the three experiments on respiration. Thermos experiment. Aim is heat is liberated during the respiration. Kuhn's fermentation vessel experiment. It is conducted to demonstrate the alcoholic fermentation. Ganning's respiroscope experiment. Aim is carbon dioxide is liberated during aerobic respiration. Clear? So this much you should remember under the respiration. I think it is very clear for you. So here you remember RQ value. So if you remember this one, you can easy to write the definition. RQ value of different kinds of substances you should remember. Carbs 1 are unity, anaerobic infinity, proteins and fats less than 1, organic acids more than 1, zero fatty plants 0. Then the thermosflask experiment aim is heat is liberated during respiration. Kuhn's fermentation vessel experiment to demonstrate the alcoholic fermentation with the help of the yeast. Ganning's respiroscope experiment aim is to demonstrate the carbon dioxide is liberated during aerobic respiration. I think it is very clear for you. Yes, this much you should remember, students. Small heading is the amphibolic pathway that I am going to explain in the next class. Okay, thank you.